Welcome back to Studio 10. Millions of women and men suffer from varicose veins. Well, you can wear long pants and cover them up, but that won't help the real problem, which can potentially be deadly. And Dr. Mountcastle is with me today to address that further. We're talking about varicose veins, but we're not just talking about varicose veins from the aesthetic point of view, from the point of view of you don't want to go to the beach without wearing pants. This is really a sign of some greater danger.
It is. You know, Holly, I spent the first 30 years of my career in trauma medicine reassuring people. In the last 5 years in vein medicine, and realized that maybe I should tell people what to be afraid of.
But in a hopeful sense, in a we can fix it sense.
Yeah, they shouldn't be afraid of procedures. They don't hurt. They shouldn't be afraid of costs. Insurances pay for these things. But they should be afraid of some of the complications of things that they think are, well, varicose veins. People think they're ugly. They are. They think that they know they're uncomfortable. They are. But more than that, varicose veins are dangerous. That's where you get phlebitis, which by itself isn't dangerous. It's a hard clot. It's hot. It's tender. It's frightening somewhat. But your chances of a deep vein clot are increased 400% when you have that. 400%? 400%. The wrong direction, certainly.
That's unbelievable.
I told someone that in our consult room not too long ago. I walked into the next room where Kim, our ultrasonographer, was doing an ultrasound. Here the person had developed phlebitis, and she showed me she said, "Doc, look at this." And here was a clot growing from the phlebitis, the superficial clot, up the varicose vein, down through a perforator, and there was a big, old, juicy clot, literally waving in the venous breeze. We talked in hushed tones, you know, like it was going to break off if we talked in a normal voice, and got him on heparin and all. But that kind of thing can you know, cause death.
We're going to take a look at some pictures here as we're talking, Dr. Mountcastle, to kind of give people an idea of what we're talking about here, and to also show you that there is hope, that these are fixable. But bear in mind, again, as we're looking, this is not just an aesthetic problem. You have a specific story of somebody who dealt with something that could have been fixed and now is having to live with the repercussions of not having had it fixed.
We had a case just a couple weeks ago. A lady ended up leaving our office in tears. And a friend called and said, what was the trouble? I said, well, you know, we had to give her some bad news. She had a little knuckle of varicose vein by her knee, a little aching in her leg. Her friends had been treated by us, were really happy. She had to drive to North Carolina a couple months ago. And she headed off, and by the Florida line, she had phlebitis in that varicosity. It was tender and a little hot. But in Georgia, her leg started to swell, and in South Carolina, it started to really hurt. And in North Carolina, before she got to her destination, she couldn't breathe. Emergency room, ICU, multiple pulmonary emboli, and she vowed to get her legs fixed by that Mountcastle fellow when she got back to Florida. And so we did our ultrasound, and sure enough, she had reflux in her greater saphenous vein. We could have fixed that in 20 minutes. She had a little varicosity. We could have done that in another 20 minutes. But by now, she developed deep vein failure of the deep valves. The clot had damaged all the valves. So I had to tell this attractive 55-year-old country club person, likes to golf, that she would have to wear, you know, prescription support hose for the rest of her life.
And that could have been avoided. It
could have been avoided so easily. She just didn't think it was that urgent.
Right.
People should have their varicose veins fixed. There's no reason to wait anymore. The procedures are simple. They don't hurt. They always work. We've seen no complications. You aren't laid up at all. They're simple half-hour visits to an office, and your veins are fixed.
You're walking straight out of the office. In fact, you even advise that people do more walking immediately after.
Yeah, we think it gets the blood going. We've never, ever seen a deep vein clot in thousands of procedures. And so it's healthy and easy, and people just don't realize that they have all these fears that are unfounded, and they aren't afraid of the right things.
Right. If they look at the veins, the varicose veins, as a sign, as a signal, as the canary in the coal mine, you're going to catch something like this way ahead of time and feel so much better and not have to deal with the things like wearing the support hose. And I think a lot of people think that's the only option they have is something like support hose. But your process is pain-free, completely pain-free, versus the old way of doing things, which was scary to people.
Oh, I was overnight in the hospital on a morphine drip, general anesthesia, 3 weeks of agony on the couch. And now people can go back to work. Their legs sore for about 7 days, kind of increasing, and then decreases over the next week. And there's some bruising that's gone at 2 weeks. And that's it. The vein is fixed.
There's such a stigma, I think, attached to the idea of varicose veins as well. And you have a great analogy that I love about our bodies being like an old house. We get better with age. But there are some things that need to be addressed in the same way that maybe your air conditioner goes, you know, things like that. Varicose veins are not a signal that you've been living a poor lifestyle or anything like that. They just happen.
No, we used to die at 30 years old. Now we live on, so we have to kind of keep up with the repairs. And these are simple repairs now.
Simple repairs that make a huge difference for your overall health, for your ultimate health. And you don't need to be afraid. And frankly, you can go in and get a free check just to get an idea, a free educational check, just to get an idea what the process is all about.
Yeah, it's really very easy. And then we generally schedule the person for an ultrasound. I'll make sure that they don't have any surprises from their insurance company and all. It's another fear. And then after the ultrasound, we can tell people exactly what's wrong. There's no doctor holding up the light and saying, well, it's probably this or that. There's no probably about it. You're pregnant or you aren't. Blood's flowing down your veins against the valves or it isn't.
Exactly.
And that's it. And we can say exactly what to do and in what order.
And there are the locations for you. Isla del Sol and also on Bryan Dairy Road. You can call 727-865-6941. It is worth it just to find out, just to get more information. You can also go to mountcastleVeinCenter.com, or we will link you directly there at studio10.tv. Take my word for it. Catch it early and get it taken care of. Thanks, Dr. Mountcastle.
Thanks, Holly.